getting this thing like...
So this is the amount of damage I get now with the new update. I get around 60k with no buffs, of course. This was before the update. Well, guys, I don't know if you saw the patch notes or not, but the huge update, Jaws just got buffed for some odd reason. I think it was totally fine the way it was. So the buff is they added a 30% elemental damage when you hit any weak spot. This includes PvP and PVE. They are not separate game modes. It was before, after you kill an enemy, you would get this 30%, but now they just made it so you just get it outright and it lasts for 8 seconds. Which 8 seconds is quite a while. If you keep on hitting weak spots, you will just keep on getting that buff, and you will keep getting plus 30%. It is mostly really good in PvE now. We get about the same DPS as Shrapnel. I think the way it was fine anyway, because Jaws is mostly a crowd control weapon, but I guess they decided to change it. I have no power over the devs, so in PvP, everybody's gonna switch to Jaws now. They did add for the Craddles, they updated this so this brawl boost, it now does damage reduction minus 20%. Well, actually, it's minus 10% if you hit any enemy. So as soon as you hit one enemy, I think you'll get it forever. I don't know. It's a very vague statement. It just says damage from players minus 20%. This effect is halved after dealing damage to a player, but resets out of combat. So does that mean you get 10% damage reduction forever? And what does it mean by resets once out of combat? What is out of combat? I have no idea. But you will be more tanky now. These damage numbers are before the update. So when I got one stack of Lone Wolf, I got to 3,162 crit damage. This is crit damage. And then when I got to 3 stacks, it went up to 3,500. And now after the update, it goes to 2,393, which is a massive decrease. And I think this is because the 20% damage reduction. So I worked out that if you decrease 2,813 by 10%, you get 2,531. And this seems to be the closest thing. Now there seems to be a kind of a gap here, but I don't know. Just the way the math works in this game, I don't know. Maybe I just got more DPS overall. I did upgrade quite a lot before the update dropped, so that could be the reason. I looked at a guy's video called Morn, and he was using this, so I wanted to do my own research into it, and I tested them side by side, Fateful Strike versus Deviation Expert, and Deviation Expert is about 30% more damage than you're going to get with Fateful Strike. Sadly, I got a bad roll with Fateful Strike, so I know I only have 9 crit damage, but this still shouldn't be 30%. And it also has normal enemies as well. But still, 30% increase is a major increase, and even with having a low crit damage and normal enemies, Fateful Strike should still be worse in Deviation Expert. I tested it with no armor as well. Now for jaws, you want to go for crit damage, and you want to go for weapon damage or status damage. But the major one you want to go for is crit damage. They also nerfed the bow, so the bow now only has a 15% crit rate instead of 30% from the last update. So that's a major L to all the shrapnel users out there. You're going to be getting a lot less damage now. In Morn's video, he was using crit damage, and this would only work if you were using the bow to get crit rate, which I wouldn't really do anyway. But now I would not advise even doing that at all because they nerfed the crossbow, so that won't be possible anymore. So you want to go for Psi Intensity. The way Psi Intensity works is the more status damage you have provided by the armor. So Psi Intensity boosts the damage of Jaws, which is a main status because it's a status damage gun. Here's the weapon mod I have for Jaws. For every 1% crit rate, unstable bomber damage plus 0.5%. This is still the best weapon mod you can have. For PvP, you want to go for heavy explosion. Now this is really broken. I haven't heard many people even talk about this. So this just staggers the enemy player, and they can't really do anything. It's kind of broken. It's really broken. So yeah, I don't really have a good mod for this. I only have talents. So yeah, in the gameplay you can
He's
see
getting
that
stunned.
it just staggers you and you can't do anything and then you're just
You can't do
gonna die.
anything.
You'd
You
have to
can't do
roll out of
anything.
it, and even if you roll out of it, you can still get hit by it mid-roll
Oh shit.
and you get staggered again. It's really annoying. It's really annoying. I wish they just removed this mod completely. But yeah, use this mod if you're in PvP. It's insane. These are the weapon accessories I'm using. Depending on your recoil control, you want to change this one to more stability, but that will decrease your range, and range is a big part of Jaws, even though I just said that it doesn't matter that we minus range, but it would be good to have at least some range. So the armor I'm using is all Lone Wolf. I also have a 2-star Lone Wolf shoes. I don't know why this update has messed up the UI and all the calibrations say 0 for some reason. I don't know why that's happened. But yeah, this is 2 stars, so this increases the star rating increases Psi Intensity, which increases the Jaws damage, the status damage of Jaws, which is really good. So the more stars you have, the more damage you're going to be doing. If you gamble in the wish machine and you get really lucky, you can get 3 stars on this Shaman Vulture top already. My mate in the War Bond has already got that. A Lone Wolf set basically just gives you crit damage plus 6% for 30 seconds. So every 2 weapon crit hits, you get this stack called Lone Shadow, which increases the crit damage of each, and it goes up to 10 stacks. We also get increased crit rate for 2 seconds after reloading. So after you reload, you get your crit rate up as well. This Vulture top is really helpful. It just increases our crit rate by 35%. That's crazy. And yeah, it's really helpful. It gives us so much damage. If we didn't have this top, then this build would be useless. This also gives us plus 10% weapon damage. I don't think there's anything else better you could put here. This is the only thing that will give you the same that it does. And this is what I'm using for my crossbow. It just adds vulnerability. There's nothing else you can put on. So I'm using the long axe again. The long axe actually got nerfed, which I don't think it was even in the patch notes. But it wasn't really a big nerf. It only nerfed the thing that nobody's gonna even use, which I will be showing in this video. It just inflates the damage. Well, it already inflates the damage, but it inflates the damage even more. So for every target hit, heavy attack grants all weapons crit rate plus 8%. So you heard that right. So this effect can stack up to 3 times. Now I think it was like 8 times or 6 times, I don't remember. But it was some absurd amount number that they just randomly put there. I don't think that should even be on the weapon to begin with. But yeah, so if you hit the target 3 times with a heavy attack, you will just get crit rate. These are the mods I am using for my armor. I already talked about Deviation Expert. It's a really strong mod. The downside is the minus 25% range, but it doesn't even matter because it doesn't matter how far away you are from the enemy, you will still get the same amount of damage from any distance. You can be miles away and you'll still get the same amount of damage from status damage, only status damage. So the range doesn't even matter. And you also get increased fire rate, which really sets it off there. So when Unstable Bomber hits only one enemy, Unstable Bomber final damage plus 25%. Basically all this means is when you proc Unstable Bomber, you just get plus 25% damage. It's really powerful, and there's no other mod that can really get the same damage that point detonation can. And you can use the mod conversion, came out this update, and you can just get the hardest mods. Like this mod here, I used the mod conversion to get this mod, because this mod is impossible to get. I would not advise using your controllers. I know like 6 people have used like 50 controllers just to get this one mod, and now it's actually obtainable. You can just go through the mod conversion and you can just get this mod. To enter mod conversion, all you want to do is go to mods, separate UI over here that says mod conversion, and you press this UI and it puts you in here. So the most rarest ones is going to be the mask, point detonation. Now I've already used all these already, so I can't do this one. But you want to go for violent, so I might as well do the second rarest one, which is Reckless Bomber. I don't know why all the Unstable Bomber ones are so rare. So you want to change to a suffix selection. You want to press Violent. I would love to choose Unstable Bomber, but I'm a PvP server and that is not possible and probably never will be until the next season. But in PvE, I think you can. And what you want to do is you want to put, make sure it's the mods you actually want to get rid of, because it will permanently delete these mods when you use them. And you want to go for the purple and blue ones, depending on how many purples you have. So if you have 5 purples and blues, and then you have purple, blue, blue, you will get the max of guaranteed to appear, epic, and rare. And then the rest will be either grey or green, I think it is. Low chance purple. And now it will ask you to put in 2 random mods, which it doesn't matter if they're Weakspot or anything. And we just need the ones that give us, we just need the ones that have the most purples and blues and greens. So the purple and blue, so this one's good. And this one is blue and purple, so that's pretty good. So now we're guaranteed to have a common, and we're also guaranteed to at least have 1 epic. You cannot select which substats you can have. It's not possible. You can only pick how many green substats can drop and how much purple substat can drop. So we want to press exchange, and we get something absolutely terrible, which is exactly like farming this boss. And yeah, I mean that's just unlucky, really. So you have to do the whole process again until you get the actual mod you want, which is crit damage, and then weapon damage, magazine capacity. For this, so I was thinking about using HP boost for PvP, but I don't know. I think it would be better because having more HP is always a good thing. But this does give quite a lot of crit damage, so it gives me +2 crit rate and 12 crit damage, and I also get 6 crit damage, and I also get 3.6 weapon damage. I think this is the best mod you can get. I would prefer if I had +9 crit damage, but I mean, that would be perfect. It would be like +9 crit damage, and then I think the weapon damage would be like 1.6 or something like that. For dead shot, this gives me each crit that hit by a non-melee weapon. I don't know why it says that. Grants +5 crit damage up to 45%. And this effect is removed upon the next reload. This is a really powerful mod that gives us a lot of crit damage. I would like to have better attributes, substats, but that's okay for now. I can just get that later. But that's okay for now. I can just get it with the new mod conversion. For this one, I just have crit amp. You don't need any more crit rate, and you just get less damage if you go for more crit rate. If you go for 12 crit rate instead of 10 crit rate, there isn't really much of a difference. I think they should boost that a little bit. But yeah, this is a really good substats here. 15 crit damage and 3.6 weapon damage, and I got a massive one, which is covered advance. Taking no damage within 4 seconds grants +20% weapon and status damage for 30 seconds. This is a really good mod. Maybe not as good for PvP. I think you should probably use slow and steady for PvP. Now I did get these new mods, which is I think it's called Battle Mod. Additional weapon damage inflicted after hitting a unit is reduced by 15%. It's kind of poorly worded as always, but I think it means if you hit any enemy, when they try to damage you, they'll damage be reduced by 15%. But this is only for 2 seconds. I don't know. 2 seconds is kind of a small number. And it says, what does it mean by additional weapon damage? I don't know. But that is a pretty cool attribute. But I know in PvE servers, they got much better mods right now. PvP is kind of ass. We have these mods that are not as good as the PvE. And I'll show you what the long axe does right now. So the long axe just gives me crit rate. So when I hit this target 3 times, I'm gonna get +40 crit rate, and that's without using the bow. With using the bow, I go to 95%. I can even go up to 100. There you go. There is 100 crit rate. Oh my god, 100 crit rate. Now you could even get more than this. I don't think it goes above 100 crit rate, but with like shrapnel, you could get like 70% crit rate. It was pretty funny. I mean, it's a way to inflate damage again. I won't be using this for this video, obviously, Maybe I'll put it at the end for like a little joke. But they did actually nerf the dummies, which is kind of funny to say. So this Deviation Master now, it only gives plus 50% damage to bosses and elites, and no longer gives it to the dummy. So that is gone. You're not going to see any crazy inflated damage. Well, you still are, but to the extent that plus 50% gives you. For my Craddles, I might as well talk about them now. I got handgun enhancement, which give me plus 20% when holding pistols. If you're using a crossbow, I mean, there's not really anything else you could use. You could also use this one, which gives you Master Tactician, which after using a tactical item like a throwing knife, your damage will go up by 25%, which is a huge buff. And this is only on the monolith bosses. So that's a pretty good one for PvE. Tactical combo, which increases the weapon damage for 4 seconds for switching or reloading, so you can just switch weapons and you get this buff. After hitting a weak spot, your status damage goes up by 25%. This is kind of crazy because you also get 30% now when you hit a weak spot. So we get like 55% crit rate now, which is kind of crazy. Not crit rate. Weak spot damage now. I don't know why we're getting so much weak spot damage on a crit damage build. I don't know why the devs decided to do that, but that's the way it is. I don't know. Maybe we should go more into weak spot now, but I don't know. I still don't think it's worth it. 55% a weak spot is still not really enough, and mostly everything is crit damage anyway. Like Lone Wolf is all crit damage. I don't know. It might be something to think about though. And for this one, we have first round blast. After reloading, we just get plus 25% unstable bomber damage for 4 seconds. And this is only for Bullseye and Fortress Warfare. It increases the weak spot damage by 40% if you're in Fortress Warfare, and if you're in Bullseye, it increases the damage by 20%. They are two different things, they are not the same thing. And you could also do this one, but it's very unlikely to happen, which is after defeating a unit you marked, like if you're using Wildfire, which I will be talking about this in this video. Wildfire is very good for using it hand on hand. If you don't want to use the crossbow, if you miss with a crossbow, then you're going to do a lot less damage. And Bullseye gives you a lot of damage, so yeah, say goodbye to these deviants for dummy damage. What's happened? Because they do not increase the damage. I still only got 35k. And if I use all the insane buffs, which I only have 30%, 31% on this actually. What does my damage go up to now? 40, 60k. Let's move out without 10 stacks. $80. That shows the difference between how far away I am if I'm using Deviation Expert. This is against the Pro Mode Treant, which it basically just has Great Ones take minus 60% damage, but each of your attack grants you a plus 10 damage bonus up to 8 stacks. So if you're using an LMG or a very fast firing gun, then you will be fine. But if you're using Bingo or anything that shoots really slow, then you're gonna have a really hard time. Alrighty, so here is the boss. What you want to make sure is to get rid of all the mini bosses in the arena because they are really annoying. Also, you have to kill these vines. You don't need to kill that. I don't know what his name is. The guy that powers all the other enemies. Jellyfish. You die. And of course this guy has no sound effects. Where's your sound effects, my guy? Actual jump scare. Okay, we just have this vine and we also have this guy over here. That's good. Can you come over here? What are you doing? I've never seen him not come over here. There you go. What is happening? Yeah, the game is not doing well. Okay. I'm gonna have to kill this last vine. Okay. Can you die, please? There you go. I mean, all the bosses are the same because they all have the same modifier this week. How much damage did I do that? Probably like a million. Oh no, not a million. 200k. I think it would normally be like 80k. I think it would be. I don't know. Put it on screen. Yeah, I mean it's 200k now. Very fun modifier. It's not a major buff as people think it is. I mean, it is still a buff. I mean, Shrapnel can still beat Jaws, and Power Surge can still beat Jaws. But yeah, that's gonna end the video off. And goodbye. I can't say it. Bombardier. I know a lot of people use Bombardier. 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 Souvenir.